Yes, yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party, and it's driven by Mug & S Burkhardt Alton Toyota. My name is Tim McKernan, and that's Jackson Burkett. God, it's like you have a pompadour now.
Telling you.
A pompadour.
Telling you.
Do you notice your hair is thicker?
Yes.
Do you really?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. There's moments like someone takes a picture of the back of your head or something from behind or something.
You have a lot of those photos?
They're few and far between, but the few I've seen, it's much better. You run your hand through it. Just feels thicker, better. I don't know. I'm very confident.
Like year over year. Is that the increase year over year? If we're talking on December 14th of 2022, and we had a great balloon party that day.
Boy.
To December 14th, 2023, you would notice an increase in your density, in your thickness, boy.
Yes, very much so. And yeah, you go year by year. Like I really started feeling the loss right around my senior year of college. And since then, I feel like my hair has improved very much so.
But today it's a pompadour.
Yeah, it was a good shower this morning. Really got in there, really dug deep with the shampoo and conditioner. Now we're feeling really good. How often? Oh, boy, that was a bad. I was about to ask, and this was not perceived as a shot. I just forgot who I'm broadcasting with. I was going to ask.
It's good. It's passive. No, it was a shot, and then you cover it up. I know what it was. How often you wash your hair? That's what it was, and it's offensive.
I did.
It's offensive.
I didn't even think before I started speaking. It wasn't right. Hand up.
It's like, when do you graduate from college? It's the same type of passive-aggressive stuff. I know it. I've been doing this too long to not recognize passive-aggressive. It's essentially a trolling live in the studio here.
I really feel bad because I thought about it as I started saying it, and that's just not right.
As a real ladies' man, I recall going shopping for Rogaine with a girl I truly was interested in Columbia, Missouri. And you have to think, whether it be smoking weed, oysters, chocolate, net worth, aphrodisiacs, up there would have to be, no, he took me shopping for Rogaine.
Yeah, I think that the Rogaine shopping, and not only buying Rogaine yourself, but bringing the person along with you, is only second to HD2 radio stardom.
Right.
That's number one aphrodisiac.
I agree with that. I actually do agree with that. Your thoughts are what? Anytime I grab that microphone.
It was given Stelter issues yesterday.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I understand, I played it. We were attacked. Well, you were attacked, but I'll act like it was we. By the fast lane, and obviously Radio Wars is something we're passionate about. And so I guess Radio Wars have been declared on this program by the fast lane, and I've never been angrier.
You want the audio real quick?
Of course I do.
So he catches the ball a lot in and around the line of scrimmage, and then in that intermediate game.
What's his yak? He's got to have good yak.
Oh, it's tremendous. Yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the actual number is.
That's yards after catch.
For sure. Nice job there.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got it, Jamie.
My guy over
Well, there's some producers that don't know, certain abbreviations.
Some producers don't know guys
like
playing sports.
WPG, for instance.
Who doesn't know that?
Well, I'm not going to say any names. But it doesn't stand for wins per game.
You kind of just brought it up. Rockio.
No.
This is Sir Piddles for sure.
Oh, Action Jackson? Yeah, that's true. Because Rockio takes a long... Rock wants to know.
If Rock didn't know that, I think he'd cry.
Yeah. By the way, Tyreek Hill...
It's a compliment, actually.
He is, yeah. Rock is very smart.
I didn't say that.
He is. He's a smart guy.
I didn't say that.
That Rocky or shrapnel as well. Sir Piddles, I like that you've been knighted by Jamie Rivers.
It is kind of like, even though, the nickname itself might be not the most complimentary, I've embraced it, which is the best way to do so.
Sir Piddles.
If you're going to put the sir on top of it, I do like that. I do very much appreciate that from Jamie Rivers. I really like all those guys. They're really, really cool. They sometimes will take some shots at me, but, I can return it back.
All right.
I told Jamie the other day, I was like, man, Jamie, you've been hitting the weights. You're looking good, man. He was like, oh, thanks, Piddles. And I said, I'd still run you, but.
And what was his response to that?
Uproarious laughter. So I don't think
I would like to turn the corner and watch you two scrapping.
Wouldn't go. I've never been in a fight in my life,
Is
which
that
might come
right?
as a surprise to some
I know. I
listeners.
imagine people text in with their surprise. 314-399-9646. And then the YouTube chat is active. Droid FX is in there. Tiny PP's in there. The Dude and Bishan about sports.
Bishan?
BISHINABT sports.
Yeah, that's Bishan.
No.
That's
Well,
Bishan.
either way, you can go in there and talk it over with them. Now, here is the deal. Jackson and I are on a program called TMA. It's a startup celebrating its 20th anniversary. And we have this year-end awards coming your way this evening. We'll be at Hot Shots in Webster Groves. And therefore, we are off tomorrow. So we will not be in tomorrow. So you, knowing that people really plan their weeks around the Friday six-shooter, you're moving up the six-shooter to Thursday. It's a bold move.
That's right.
It's aggressive. But I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to what you have for today's six-shooter. Why don't we make sure we try to get them all in? Let's see what you got.
I like that.
That's more on me than it is you. It's 10:10 in St. Louis, so I think we can get one in. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. The Air Alliance team sponsor the cameras on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. So what do we got here with question number one on what today will be a Thursday six-shooter since we are off tomorrow for the TMA Awards tonight. And you want to talk about an old money gala, this is it. It's essentially the veiled prophet ball of North Afton.
Yeah, absolutely. About 36 hours after the news of Berube's firing, where do you think people are on Doug Armstrong? Do you think fans...
Can I say something here? Because now we're celebrating our second anniversary of this show.
Sure.
I feel like the way you read the questions is kind of like, I just got to get theirs, and then I'll get out of the way so the Hall of Famer I work with can talk. No. Your time is now. Your time is now. Vocal inflection. Pacing. You're trying a case here. I'm the witness.
Yeah.
So if you were representing your client, how would you ask the question? Just think that.
It's like a fast break. I was giving you a chest pass, but you want a little more flair.
I want you to shine bright like a diamond. At this point, I'm already on the summit of 1 hour midday shows.
And you've been there for quite a while.
2 years.
About 36 hours after the news of Berube's firing, where do you think most people...
So improved.
Thank you.
Really is.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about myself. Where do you think most people are at on Doug Armstrong? Do you think fans believe in him so much that they have faith that this is the best move for the franchise, or do you think fans are at the point of questioning his leadership?
This kind of reminds me of like when I vote on TMZ polls, which in and of itself should be an investigation. They give you choices that really aren't the choices that I would like. And I don't necessarily... I think people can be disappointed in the move, but not necessarily questioning Doug Armstrong's ability to lead an organization. I think there is disappointment with the move. I am not... It's like the Florida State thing. Time has not healed that, even though I have no emotional tie to the Seminoles. I am disappointed, in part because I think it sets a precedent for the future. With regard to this... I probably, Jackson, because we happened to be live on the air when we played that press conference, and it was one of the most surprising answers to a question I have heard in press conferences, in which, even though I know we go into press conferences going, I can't wait to hear the answer, we get done with press conferences, and it's like a sexual experience with me. Everybody leaves unfulfilled. And so when I actually heard Doug Armstrong say something of note back in October, where he just blatantly said, he goes, listen, we're not Colorado, we're not Dallas. If we can be the third best team in the division, maybe we can get in the playoffs and we'll see what happens. I go, holy crap. I love this. This is great to hear. You're setting fans for realistic expectations, as opposed to saying getting Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and saying now we can win the World Series. And so I thought that was refreshing. And then 2 months later, not even. The team's a game under 500, and the roster that was given to Craig Berube is not producing at a real high level. Well, that's what you were told the expectations were, and then he loses his job. I'm not emotionally distraught over it. I just think it's wrong. Now, with that said, I don't think Doug Armstrong has lost his ability to be the leader of this organization or any hockey organization. I just think it's really disappointing. And also, candidly, and I know this sucks because I don't have a specific for you, I think there's more to it. Whether it be something with a player of prominence or it be something with ownership, I don't know. I don't think this is as simple as, they're on a 4-game losing streak. We got to do something. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Now, I realize it's a real bold stance to take because I'm saying I think there's something that we don't know and I will not provide it for you. But that is what I honestly think. I just don't get it. I suppose the one thing that we have been talking about throughout the course of this season is the Blues either play what would be a B+ or A game, or they play a D- or F game, and there haven't been a whole lot in between. And so if you're looking for consistency, you haven't gotten it. Armstrong cited that. But still, I gather if you're just looking for this to be straightforward, if this is really just about we got to make a change and we can't fire the roster, which becomes the cliche when people see a coach get fired, it is we have got to try to figure out a way to get our young players, in particular Jordan Kyrou, going. And so we got to do something. And if this doesn't work, it's not going to work. And then we're going to have to look at the nuclear option. So that will be my, okay, there is no conspiracy theory. Your thoughts on that, 314-399-9646, or talk it over in the YouTube chat. My name is Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett. This program is called Balloon Party, and it is sponsored by Mungan Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Welcome back. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you for 1 hour. The program's called Balloon Party, and it's driven by Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. We're giving away tickets to Def Leppard and Journey with Cheap Trick on July 6th at Busch Stadium. For our text of the day, text in 314-399-9646 for your chance to win free tickets to the show. And you can also find a bonus chance to register to win tickets to Def Leppard and Journey at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. That's Friday, December 15th. This program, the two of us, are off tomorrow. We have the other show that we do from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's called TMA. And our award show tonight, it is a gala. It's Black Tie Affair.
Yep. And
so we are off tomorrow, Jackson. And so we are doing the Friday six-shooter on Thursday. I want to see if we can get through all six. What is question 2?
So I'm going to move off the original question 2 I had. I'm going to say, I'm going to switch. I'm going to do a flop. That way.
This is fun. This is like watching Peyton Manning go up to the line of scrimmage and seeing a defense. And
Omaha. Omaha.
This is fun. This is fun to watch a master at work.
Here we go. I want to talk about villains in sports.
Okay.
I'm going to use the NBA and golf as a reference point. Please don't lambast me. Draymond Green Tuesday night was ejected for 180 swinging on Suns center Yusuf Nurkic, adding to his long history of being involved in on-court scuffles, and he was just announced that he will be suspended indefinitely, which I also have takes on, but I will save them.
Where will people be able to get those takes when you and Rocky will get together?
You'll catch me at Hot Shots tonight.
Ooh.
Just find me and pull me aside, and I'll give you 90 seconds. Patrick Reed, now live golfer, has been one of the best villains in sports with accusations on and off the course and interactions that have gone forward.
We did so well with our inflection in the first segment. And you see what you're doing? You don't have to rush it. I mean, we have an hour.
I know, and a coveted hour at that.
Thank you.
Patrick Reed, a now live golfer.
Look at you.
Has been one of
Spread your wings, you beautiful baby boy.
Has been one of the best villains in sports with accusations and other on and off the course interactions. How important do you think it is for pro sports to have these villain figures in modern times where it seems like athletes on opposing teams have much more mutual respect and a friendly relationship? Do organic villains stand out more and more, and it makes them more valuable?
I would like you to answer the question so I have a better understanding of what you're trying to get out of me, and then I will attempt to give it to you.
So here's my thing. I think in our modern times of social media, there is good and bad, well, just like with everything. The good part is a lot of athletes get to know each other even before they play in pro sports, whether it be on travel teams, whether it's football, soccer, hockey, basketball, and they build a good rapport, and they build it on social media. The other side of that is fans, media, people are quick with the hashtag backlash. And so I feel like villains nowadays in sports are deemed bad people. Draymond Green, for example, being suspended indefinitely, which I think is a true byproduct of social media backlash and not anything else, personally.
Now, real quickly, like the NBA getting pressure?
Yeah.
Or Draymond Green's behavior on social media?
No. The NBA getting pressure from social media.
Okay,
That's what I mean by that. And so I think people sometimes lose sight that villains are really important to sports. For every hero, there needs to be a villain, or else it gets kind of boring. And it's got to be organic. And so what I'm saying to you is, do you think that organic villains nowadays are not only harder to conjure up, but also very important for the entertainment level of sports?
I got to be honest. I don't know if I follow the question, and I apologize for that. But I don't want to just start talking.
No, I get you.
And then have it sound like I'm not answering the question.
I get you. And
this is a moment of sincerity that I don't follow. I'm sorry.
And maybe the question isn't as fleshed out as I wanted it to be, and that's on me.
So like, ask me in like one sentence what you're trying to get at, if you can.
Do you think there is still a need for villains in sports, and do you think they are more valuable because they are fewer and far between? And do you think some of the villains are less organic?
God, I think I don't. So you thought there was an era where there were more villains, I guess is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, and what era would that be?
80s and 90s.
And
I feel like players really disliked each other on opposing teams. I feel like people really didn't like each other.
Is that what you're trying to get at?
To an extent, and villain is in the eye of the beholder. Like if you were a Celtics fan, Magic Johnson was a villain, and if you were a Laker fan, Larry Bird was a villain. So maybe more so the question I'm asking is true organic beef, as the kids call it.
Rivalry?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the... Okay, now I get what you're saying better. Like, I love, when people talk about the Cardinals and Cubs, the rivalry, or even Missouri and Kansas, I think part of that is where you live. So if you're in Kansas City, my guess is you feel the Missouri-Kansas thing a hell of a lot more than you do in St. Louis. And if you're in Southern Illinois or Central Illinois, you feel the Cardinals-Cubs thing as like more of a rivalry as opposed to, oh, that's the Cardinals and Cubs, the cute little rivalry. But, you know, most of the time in the history, the Cubs haven't been all that relevant to the races. So I loved in 2003 when Tony La Russa and Dusty Baker, the two managers of the teams at the time, were screaming at each other back and forth. And the Cardinals were throwing at the Cubs, and the Cubs were throwing at the Cardinals, because then what I felt like as a fan is that they were as invested in it as we were as fans. I don't know why this is at the forefront of my mind, probably because I recently rewatched the 30 for 30. I remember when I said the title of the 30 for 30, I could tell you were stunned, but it truly was called Catholics versus Convicts on Miami, Notre Dame in 1988. And that game already had incredible anticipation, in part because Miami had run up the score on Notre Dame the year before, and Jerry Faust, or 2 years before, and Jerry Faust, he was the coach, and he was the high school coach. He became Notre Dame's coach, really odd. And Jimmy Johnson had done that as coach of Miami, and so that game was targeted as the vengeance game. And then before they even take the field, the two teams start fighting and beating the hell out of each other in the tunnel, and you're like, oh, this is great. Right. Michigan, Ohio State, they've had some fights in the tunnel before they take the field, and you go, this is great. You want this. You want the two teams to hate each other because you know as a fan, you are fired up for it. So I personally love when that is going on. The Cardinals and Astros had a gentleman's rivalry in the years of 2004 and 2005. There was mutual respect between the teams. The Red Sox and Yankees at the same time had Pedro Martinez throwing down a 75-year-old Don Zimmer in the ALCS. I personally like one where, you know, you got that kind of stuff going on. That's what I like. Don't get me wrong, I have respect for Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio and Lance Berkman, but it didn't have the intensity of the Yankees and Red Sox. So if Missouri was playing Texas Tech in 2007 to become the #1 team in college football, it wouldn't have had near the juice that Missouri versus Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium had. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that is my mindset on rivalries and villains. You know, and from the St. Louis side, Yadier Molina couldn't be more beloved. But around baseball, and in particular the National League Central, he couldn't be more reviled. Right. I like those kinds of guys.
And he's a perfect example of a guy who, to anybody outside of St. Louis, would be deemed a villain. And that's why I just think they're fewer and far between now, and I think they're more valuable than ever to have people like that. And to your point about rivalries, one of my favorite playoff series ever in any sport was 2011 NLCS against the Brewers, because there was a long-standing beef that season, whether it had been Niger Morgan or some of the other things that happened.
Well, I always look at that as Niger Morgan, you know? I mean, and don't get me wrong, that whole thing, and that's perfect, because Niger Morgan of the Brewers was a journeyman rando who gets on Twitter and starts running his mouth. And then you have Chris Carpenter, who has, like a zero tolerance for anything. I mean, really, in general. I mean, for real, I don't know. If you talk about a guy with like a no tolerance for crap in the last 23 years of St. Louis sports, I would immediately go to Chris Carpenter. So you have the absolute oil to his vinegar on the other team. You know, and not somebody, you don't respect his game, you don't respect the way he goes about it, and then he's on Twitter talking crap. I mean, you can imagine how Chris Carpenter felt about that. So it was the perfect foil. You know, it would have been one thing if it were, take your pick of whoever was a star in the Brewers at the time, Braun, Fielder, whatever. But, you know, it's Niger Morgan. Yeah. You know, and he's talking crap, and then he actually sends out a tweet, and the Cardinals come back and track him down after he had said, looking forward to the baby birds watching us at home during October, and then the Cardinals are the ones who put the bullet in his head. You know, I mean, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Right. But the Cardinals and Brewers as a whole, like there wasn't like you had Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa when it was the Cardinals and Cubs. Right. This is Niger Morgan. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's like if Luke and Baker all of a sudden got banty on Instagram.
Yeah,
all due
right.
respect to him, it's just like, okay, what is this thing? You know?
Because even someone like Brandon Phillips was a much more established player.
Absolutely.
You know, he was a really good player
Yes,
at that time.
and that was more. That's a great example. The Cardinals and Reds. That's a great example.
Yeah.
That is a great. That was a real thing.
Yes.
that was a real thing.
Which differs from like.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if what you're trying to say is because of social media, guys become more friendly, and so you don't have like the Bob Gibson thing.
Yeah.
I was watching a clip from Tom Brady. This is not a brand new interview, but it's probably from earlier this year. And he said he intentionally tried to be complimentary of defensive players when they would be in the backfield and say, "What's up, man? You're playing really well. Keep up your great season," or something like that.
Andrew Luck did the same thing.
And so he's playing against Ndamukong Suh, and Sue gets to him, and he says, "What's up, dude, man? You know, stay out of my backfield." Just like joking with him. He goes, "Shut up, man. I'm not your friend." He's like, "Oh boy, I better try a different tactic."
Wrong guy to piss off,
I
too.
like that. I personally like that.
Yeah.
You know, I hear Howard Stern when he'll interview the late night hosts now, Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon. And they're all like, "Yeah, we're friends." They actually all do a podcast
They do.
together now.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, and Seth Meyers and John Oliver, they all do a podcast together. He goes, "I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I hated the guys I was competing with in the 1980s and 1990s. Don Imus. I hated those guys because I just can't believe, like Letterman and Leno, they hated each other. He goes, I just don't get how you can be friendly with those guys." And so that thing is certainly different, not just in sports, but in entertainment. I don't think that's because of social media, but maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know why it has changed. Personally, I love, as a sports fan, the idea of like a Chris Carpenter, a Bob Gibson. I love that. I love that. I don't know if I'd want to hang out with that,
Right.
but I love that. At the same time, I'm certainly more of the, yeah, whatever. So you do a show like Frank Cusimano's doing the show, right? Like, I'm not like, Frank, you know, I mean, it's just like,
Right.
Frank helped me out in my career when I was a kid. You know, that doesn't change because I'm quote unquote competing with him, however the hell we're competing, you know. I don't see it through that lens. I also think the technology has changed so that if you wanted to listen to two different shows, you can always podcast them.
Right.
Back in the day with those guys, it's like if you didn't have me in your car, you weren't going to listen to me that day. If you didn't watch me on television, you couldn't
Right.
go back and DVR it or watch it on YouTube.
Right.
So it was a different era. That contributed to it. As far as sports goes, maybe it's because everybody, I mean, even the poor guys, I just did air quotes for those of you not watching on YouTube, make $750,000 in Major League Baseball. Now, granted, they might only make that for a year, so it's not necessarily lifelong sustainability. And then you take a step back, and everybody else is, you know, we all have 8 figures net worth minimum after playing a couple of years in Major League Baseball. If we've gotten a contract, it's tough to get really that worked up to the point that we want to risk the health of somebody else or ourselves by throwing at or sliding in spikes up on somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think the money may have changed that as well.
Right. And I think someone can be vilified much faster than years prior. You know, you can be a villain instantly because a game that, you know, if you're playing hockey and it's a very small game, it's not nationally televised, it's only regional, but the clip gets shared everywhere of you maybe making a dirty play. You are an instant villain, whereas in years prior, unless you read about it in the newspaper, you most likely didn't know that somebody on the Senators, you know, made a dirty play. And I think that's part of it. And I also think players are more familiar with each other before they even get to the playing surface. You know, like it used to be, the first time you would meet an opponent was when you met them on the field or ice or court. Nowadays, you can send a DM to someone saying, "Hey, great season, man. That was great. Can't wait to compete with you in the future." And you already have a rapport built. So I think that's part of it, too.
Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646. We'll be giving away a text of the day to win the Def Leppard and Journey tickets. Coming up at the end of the program, BK and Ferrario at the top of the hour. Blues and Senators. Pregame 6 p.m. The Drew Bannister era is underway. Jackson, I'll say it. I don't care. Yeah, come and arrest me. Terminate me. Whatever. It's fine. I have a wager on the Blues tonight. I have a wager on the Blues tonight. It's simply the new coach bounce bet.
Yeah, I like
Do
that.
with it what you want. So if and when the Blues lose, feel free. You can DM me, Timothy Michael McKernan on Instagram. Not really active on there. T. McKernan on the Twitter tweets. And say, haha, you lost. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Honestly, it'll be the award ceremony tonight. I'll probably be intoxicated. Full transparency. I'm gambling and I'm drinking, and that is who I am. I am a godless pervert. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Drew Bannister era starts tonight as the Blues take on the Senators. You can catch that game right here, home of the Blues. Pre-game starts at 6 p.m. and the puck drops at 7. And last night, the Bucks defeat the Pacers 140-126. Giannis Antetokounmpo with his career high 64 points in the victory. That was their SportsCenter update given by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Action Jackson. He goes by Jackson Burkett, but his birth certificate is Action Jackson.
It's true.
It's changing to Sir Piddles, though you've been knighted by Jamie Rivers.
That's like, obviously I wasn't born in England, so I can't really be OBE.
No, you let everybody know you're from Ladue.
Yeah, I can't be OBE, but that would be like, what a career achievement that would be.
To be knighted.
Just every time someone calls you, they got to call you Sir, like Sir Ben Kingsley. Like, I just think that it just rolls right off the tongue. Or Dame Judi Dench.
Nice. You can get involved with this YouTube chat. As 156 people are in there talking it over. The Dude, Eric Bishop, Mr. Smith, and Jimmy Berry. Old Jimmy Berry's in there, along with Bishin' About Sports. So they're talking it over, and it's probably because there's buzz about this Friday six-shooter being on a Thursday. Question 3?
Yeah. Yep. Mizzou's 2024 schedule is out, and Tiger fans are fired up. What do you make of the new look SEC schedule? What game, maybe after Alabama, would you most want to go to?
Well, I booked a home in Columbia for November 9th, 2024 for Missouri against Boomer Sooner.
Hell yeah.
I mean, if we're going to be honest about it, and of course that's what we're going to be.
Because we are honesty in media.
Thank you. The Missouri home schedule in 2024,
outside Oklahoma, it's pretty bare.
It's Murray State on August 31st.
Sup, Ja?
Buffalo, Sup, Ja. Buffalo, Turner Gill, Buzz from 20 years ago. Then it's Boston College, Doug Flutie, and then Vanderbilt. So Missouri really should be 4-0 going to October, because the date that I thought they were going to be in Tuscaloosa and actually booked a home in Tuscaloosa, so I was so certain of it, September 21st will be Vanderbilt. Then a bye week, and then they head to College Station. Then, naturally, they head to Amherst, Massachusetts to play in a high school football stadium against the Minutemen.
Jeez.
Jim Sturck scheduling, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
That's on October 12th. So the worst case scenario halfway through the college football season of 2024 is 5-1. It kind of has to be.
Yeah. It would be pretty shocking if it wasn't.
Right. But at the same time, anytime you start doing these predictions, and you can even look back on how you would have viewed 2023. Like we both were, taking the over on Missouri's win total. But if you would have said over under 9.5 wins, I wouldn't have been taking the over. I suppose I could have seen it as being possible, but I wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm betting that.
Right.
But I loved over 6.5. But the same thing, you don't know how teams are going to be. You don't know how injuries are going to play out. I mean, even this year, if somebody would have said, hey, Alabama's going to be in the college football playoff after they left South Florida fighting for their lives, people would have given you 20-1 odds on that, because they already had a loss to Texas and they were fighting for their lives against South Florida. A guy who finished in the top 10 in the Heisman had been benched that game, Jalen Milroe. So these things change very quickly. But after you take on UMass, the first of a home-at-home with UMass, you'll get to see the Minutemen in Columbia in 2025. Missouri hosts Auburn. Then they go to Tuscaloosa. So then I go on and I book a house in Tuscaloosa for the 26th of October. I book it. Yeah. Beautiful home. 10-person trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
With women, unlike your trip to the Smoky Mountains.
That's a miss. No pun intended.
And the guy who owns the house on the Airbnb goes, oh, I'm taking it off the market now. Like, what are we doing here?
What?
I know.
Like,
I'm so excited.
My confusion. So you put down the deposit.
You put in a request to book, and then they...
Got it.
You know.
Yeah, but usually when someone who's putting down the market, someone puts a request, and it's like, oh, great.
Yeah, I'm in. Here's my money.
Yeah.
So now I got to find a place in Tuscaloosa if we're going to go to that. I have not been to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm going to start making some of these SEC trips. Sure, and I doubt Missouri goes back to Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban still on the sidelines again.
Yep, good call.
So with that said, they have a bye week following that. Then they host Oklahoma. Then they go to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. And then to Starkville, and we're going to pass on that trip. And then host Woo-Pig-Sooie. Mm-hmm. For the wrap-up of the regular season. So if you were to view it through the lens of what these teams are in 2023, you'd go, oh, my God, Missouri could really be 11-1. But that is, how will Missouri be? How will these teams be? Inevitably, there will be surprises, and that's just the nature of the sport. I will tell you this, as far as that schedule goes, because the non-conference is so likely anyway, weak, unless Boston College does go Doug Flutie 1984, Missouri better have a really good SEC performance if they want to be one of the 11 non-group of 5 teams that get into the college football playoff.
Yeah, one thing that gives me a touch of angst is that the first road game for Missouri, because we've talked about now that rosters change over time and brands are usually associated. One thing that doesn't change is atmosphere, and the 12th man at Kyle Field at College Station is a brutal atmosphere to go play in, and for that to be your first road game of the season, a little bit of fear. Just a touch of fear. I don't know what Texas A&M is going to look like next year. Obviously, new coach, Mike Elko.
First road game this year was Kentucky. Am I right on that?
I
Or
guess
was it Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, yeah, and I guess before that, unless you consider
Scoreboard
Memphis.
held up by cranes, which just conveys SEC.
You want to talk about UMass's stadium, what they got going on in
For real,
Nashville.
go Google image UMass's stadium, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, that's where Kirkwood plays.
Yeah.
No, that's where the Minutemen play.
It's for real brutal. Like, that's crazy to me. But
The 2025 non-conference includes Kansas and Illinois.
super awesome.
Now, UMass is also on it, and UMass is playing Georgia and Mississippi State next year, so there might be a little buzz about them joining the conference. What a great addition it would be.
I think so.
But, yeah, that was one. I know Missouri was trying to get out of it, and then UMass was able to find another opponent. Missouri, it became a whole thing. And then the buyout, because UMass already had another opponent, got higher. UMass was like, oh, my God, we have an SEC team coming here. And it became a whole thing. So I think at this point, the buyout's too high, and Missouri's just going to, okay, we're just going to go there and play it.
Yeah,
And deal with it.
I think UMass.
You're going to spin here.
Well, dude, the UMass coming to the SEC is the Brian Kelly special. Guy from Boston, and then acts like he's Southern and pretends he's never been in the cold before.
That's correct. That's right.
So, yeah, the one thing that I guess makes me a little nervous is Texas A&M being the first road game. However, I love that this is one of the years where college football has 2 bye weeks, because lingering injuries sometimes can be mitigated when you have that second bye week. I like that. I know it's not ideal because you're 2 weeks out of the year. You're not going to get Missouri football, but it is what it is, and I like that.
All right, there it is. The college football schedules are out for the SEC. They had a whole show on it last night. All right, final segment coming your way, and then BK and Ferrario at the top of the hour. My name is Tim McKernan. Dad is Jackson Burkett. This is Balloon Party. Final segment of Balloon Party for this week. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. We got the TMA Awards tonight. Hot Shots, Webster Groves. Come out and experience it if you're not familiar with the program. It's the best way I can describe it is like the men's card room at Log Cabin. Jackson, how many questions have we gotten through?
3 or 4. 3, I think.
Gosh, I really thought I could do all 6.
But to be honest, Tim, if I'm doing my job at peak performance, we don't get through the 6-shooter.
I know. All right, what do we got?
This one I'm really interested in your opinion on. Awful Announcing released their 10 biggest sports business stories of the year 2023.
Bailey's has to be there. Live PGA has to be there. What's your question? I'm sorry, I just started going.
It's all good. Some of those include PGA and Live announcing a deal together, the Pac-12 folding up, Leo Messi coming to America, and Bally Sports bankruptcy, just to name a few. Looking at some of these stories, which stands out to you as the most significant right now, and which one do you think will be the most impactful 5 to 10 years down the road?
Bailey's and Bailey's.
Both.
Yeah.
Both here on Bally's.
And my reasoning is it's going to change the game on the field. It's going to change the game for fans away from the field with the way in which they watch baseball. The blackouts will be gone soon, and the ability to watch baseball. And just, I mean, I know a lot of you can relate to this. Oh, I want to watch the Blues get Blues and Senators tonight. I already have my wager in. I guess we'll be at the year-end awards, so it'll be on. I don't have to worry about it if I were at home. I'm like, okay, I'm watching YouTube TV. Let me close out the app. Let me click on Bailey's. Maybe I have to enter my credentials again. Maybe it's working. Maybe it's not. Now I've got the Blues game, and it's a process. And I know you go, oh, that's so first world. And I agree with you. It is. But if you're used to it, and you're going, yeah, I want to see what the Blues are doing, you go, nah, I guess I'm not going to bother with it just because I got to. In 2023, things have somehow gotten more complex with watching television as opposed to more simplified. So you have that. You have the blackout. You also have the business side of it that if a team is used to, let's say, collecting $60 million in television revenue from a baseball standpoint, how much will they be collecting in 5 to 10 years as you ask that question in 2023 dollars? So adjusted for inflation, what would that look like in 2033 for the Cardinal revenue share if this is going to change materially with the regional cables deals going away? That is why the Live and PGA thing, Live is only in existence because of Saudi Arabia's endless PIF. But I do not believe that people are going, man, now that I've tuned in to Live, I'm one of the 139,000 people in the United States watching the CW. I really like this product. So I just don't think it's forcing the PGA Tour to do business differently, but I don't think that impacts as many people as what is going on with regional sports networks, because that goes beyond baseball. The Pac-12 folding up shop. I would imagine there'll be even more changes to come in college sports, specifically college football. What else did we have in the list there, Jackson?
Leo Messi coming to America.
Yeah, that's a substantial thing.
Yeah,
that's a substantial thing.
Especially if it sets a precedent.
A substantial thing in the present and in the future is what I meant to say, as opposed to just the very vague. That's a substantial thing.
Yeah.
You can have an intern come in here and do that.
Well, you got one sitting right across the desk from you.
Well,
just kidding.
Wonderful intern.
Full-time salary, baby.
Just dunking on the audience.
Yeah. I think, we always ask, what's going to grow soccer in America? And the World Cup being here and Leo Messi and another European stars coming here is the only answer. That's the answer, is you bring the greatest soccer in the world onto American soil. That's how it happens. So that one I'm more interested to see, because Leo Messi's the domino falling. I'd be curious if the rest of the dominoes fall with that. For reference, PJ and Liv was ranked 10th, and the Bally's bankruptcy was ranked 2nd. So
what was ranked first, baby? What was ranked first?
The shuffle of ESPN, which I personally disagree with that being the biggest.
I don't understand. What does that mean?
Like the layoffs that happened, and then the way that they're reorganizing things, and that whole. That
really surprises me. There were some really major sports business stories.
Yeah.
And I'm not dismissing layoffs, but I just don't understand. That's got to be more about is it the potential restructuring and the sale?
The sale is a big part of that.
Yeah, that's got to be what it is. But still, even with that, I just think how many people really are concerned with that.
That's kind of where I'm at, but maybe we're looking through a vacuum because we aren't watching, besides Dan Orlovsky, our Take Smith laureate of the year.
Sure, of course.
outside of that. But I guess to some, like we talked about Pat McAfee the other day.
I can't imagine if we listed the 10 stories, if one person of the few hundred who would text in would say that's the biggest story.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Bally's thing to me
I guess I'll have to read that article to see if I'm missing something on it because I don't get it. What was 3?
The rise of women's sports. Rise of women's sports with Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese NCAA tournament game being so well viewed. That was 3rd on Awful's announcing list. I cannot remember what
I thought this was sports business stories.
It is.
I don't understand how that's sports business.
I guess because of the viewership and a more demand for women's sports.
Oh, is there a significant increase in viewership?
Yeah, the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese LSU Iowa championship was, and even the Final Four before that was really, really well viewed. But they still got weird time slots. They got Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's in between the Final Four and the championship Sunday, right? Or championship Monday.
Right. Good call on that. And then this last one I have at 10:57. It might not be best for a Mount Rushmore.
Oh, you're asking for a Mount Rushmore.
I know. With 3 minutes left to go, it's tough. But I'm going to do it anyway. 1 year ago Tuesday, we lost the great Mike Leach. Easily the best soundbite in football for my money, and from all accounts, an incredible human being. If you had to make a Mount Rushmore of coaches you would like to have a beer or dinner with, who would be on that list?
Who's yours, buying time?
I can go one at a time because I really got to think about this. Even though I'm asking a question, it's like, shouldn't you have something for that? Right. I'm not good. I am bad at my job. And we also have to give away text of the day. Certainly on that list would be Mike Leach. Dead or alive. We'll go dead or alive on this. Certainly on that list would be Mike Leach. Pat Riley is on that list for me. Another obscure basketball one, but I'm going to say it anyway. Tex Winter would be on that list. I'd love to pick his brain about the triangle offense. And then wrapping up that list, Mike McDaniel, 100%. I would love to. Yeah, Mike McDaniel. That would be awesome.
You'll have to wait for mine until next week because we are giving away a text of the day and the Def Leppard and Journey tickets.
Sir Piddles, your villain segment was questionable at best, and we're all dumber for hearing it. Agree with that. Take tomorrow off, be better, and come back Monday with some fire.
That was inspiring. That was like Herb Brooks.
I'm inspired.
There it is. Congratulations. You are going to see Def Leppard and Journey and Cheap Trick on July 6th. You can also find a bonus chance to register to win tickets to Def Leppard and Journey at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Don't forget, tickets go on sale for this concert at Busch Stadium on July 6th next year. Tomorrow. That's December 15th. BK and Ferrario are up next for Jackson Burkett. I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Mungan S. Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.